My hands trembled as I stared at the email from Harrison and Partners LLP. The subject line read, Estate Settlement, Dr. Robert Chen, Bob. My mentor of 40 years. The man who'd taught me everything about software architecture when I was a green 23-year-old kid fresh out of Stanford. He'd passed away 3 weeks ago at 79, and I'd been so consumed with grief that I hadn't thought much about the legal formalities. I opened the attachment. The words swam before my eyes. 4% equity stake in Chen Technologies, valued at approximately $28 million pre-IPO. $28 million. I read it again, and again. Bob had left me nearly a third of his company. The IPO was scheduled for 6 weeks from now. The underwriters were projecting the stock could jump to $35.40 million in value within the first quarter. I grabbed my phone. My fingers fumbled with the screen as I pulled up Jennifer's contact, my wife of 35 years. I needed to tell her. We could finally take that Mediterranean cruise she'd been talking about. Maybe buy a place in Scottsdale for the winters. Help our kids with their mortgages. I was halfway to the car when I decided to surprise her instead. Jennifer worked at Meridian Financial as their CFO, just 20 minutes from our house in Bellevue. I'd show up, take her to lunch at that Italian place she loved, and we'd celebrate together. The Seattle traffic was light for a Tuesday afternoon. I pulled into the Meridian Building's parking garage at 2:47 p.m. I remember the exact time because I glanced at my car clock, thinking I'd made good time. The elevator ride to the 8th floor felt eternal. My heart was pounding, not from exertion, but from pure excitement. After 35 years of marriage, I still wanted to share my best moments with Jennifer. The receptionist knew me. Hi, Mr. Torres. Jennifer's in her office. Go on back. I walked down the familiar hallway, past the conference rooms with their glass walls, toward Jennifer's corner office. Her door was slightly ajar. I raised my hand to knock. Then I heard her voice. We need to move fast, Kyle. Michael got the email from Bob's lawyers this morning. I froze. My hand hung in midair. How much? A man's voice. Kyle Morrison. I knew him. Jennifer's business partner. They'd been working on some acquisition deal for months. He'd been to our house for dinner twice. $28 million. Pre-IPO. Could be 40 after the offering. Jennifer's voice was crisp, businesslike. The same tone she used in board meetings. But we have maybe 4 weeks before he signs the paperwork and the shares get transferred to his name. And the offshore account is ready? Grand Cayman. Untraceable. But Michael needs to sign the power of attorney first. That's where you come in. My blood turned to ice. The medication is working? Kyle asked. Perfectly. He's been taking the vitamins for 6 months now. Doesn't suspect a thing. He's tired all the time. Foggy. Complains about forgetting things. I told him it's just age. Stress from work. Last week he couldn't remember where he parked the car at the grocery store. Kyle laughed. A cold, sharp sound. And once he signs the POA, I transfer everything to the Cayman account. File for divorce. Claim he's mentally unfit due to early onset dementia. By the time he figures out what happened, the money's gone, and I'm on a beach somewhere with you. What about the kids? Sarah and David? Jennifer's voice held contempt. They're so busy with their own lives. Sarah's convinced her father is losing it anyway. She called me last month worried about his memory. I told her I was handling it. I backed away from the door. My shoes made no sound on the carpeted floor. I made it to the elevator. Pressed the button. The doors opened immediately. I stepped inside. Pressed G for garage. My reflection stared back at me from the polished steel walls. 63 years old, graying hair, lines around my eyes. I looked tired. I looked confused. Because I had been. For months. The vitamins. The large blue and white capsules Jennifer had started giving me last March. Vitamin D and B complex, she'd said. Dr. Patterson recommended them for men our age. I'd been taking them every morning with breakfast. 2 pills, every single day. And I'd been feeling worse, exhausted by 3 p.m., difficulty concentrating during meetings, forgetting names, appointments, where I'd put my keys. I'd attributed it to stress. I was 63. Maybe this was just getting older. But it wasn't age. It was her. Jennifer had been drugging me. For 6 months. systematically destroying my cognitive function so she could steal $28 million and run off with her lover. I made it to my car, sat there in the parking garage as the afternoon sun slanted through the concrete pillars. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. "Working late tonight? Don't wait up. Love you. Love you." 35 years of marriage. We'd met at a tech conference in 1990. She was a financial analyst for a startup. I was a senior developer at Microsoft. We'd bonded over bad conference coffee and dreams of changing the world. We'd had 2 children. Sarah was born in 1992, David in 1995. We'd survived the dot-com crash, the 2008 recession, my father's death, her mother's Alzheimer's. We'd built a life together, and she'd been poisoning me, planning to rob me, destroy my reputation, leave me broke and discredited while she lived in luxury with another man. I drove home on autopilot. Our house in Bellevue was a 4-bedroom Craftsman we'd bought in 2003. The mortgage was paid off. The garden Jennifer maintained was immaculate. Roses, hydrangeas, a small Japanese maple by the front door. I let myself in. The house was silent, except for the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall. I walked upstairs to our bedroom, opened the medicine cabinet in our bathroom. There they were. A prescription bottle labeled Daily Wellness Supplement, M. Torres. I dumped 2 capsules into my palm, pulled out my phone and took photos from multiple angles. Then I sealed them in a small Ziploc bag and put them in my pocket. I searched the bedroom, Jennifer's nightstand, her closet, nothing obvious. Then I remembered. She had a small home office on the first floor. We'd converted the spare room after David moved out. She said she needed space to work on weekends. The door was unlocked. Inside was a desk, filing cabinet, a desktop computer. I tried the filing cabinet. Locked. But Jennifer had always been predictable about hiding keys. I checked under the desk lamp, inside a pencil holder, behind a framed photo of us in Hawaii. There, taped to the back of the frame, the filing cabinet opened. Inside were folders, bank statements, but not for our joint accounts. These were from Platinum Trust Services in Grand Cayman. Account holder, J.M. Torres. Balance, $0. But there were notes in Jennifer's handwriting. Target transfer, $28M. Timeline, 4 to 6 weeks post-POA signing. Another folder, power of attorney. Draft. I photographed every page. Another folder, medical records, but not real ones. These were forged documents from a Dr. Harrison Webb, claiming I'd been diagnosed with early cognitive decline. Recommendations for a conservatorship. More notes in Jennifer's hand. Use if M contests divorce or transfer. I photographed everything. My hands were steady now. The shock had burned away, replaced by cold calculation. At the bottom of the drawer was another prescription bottle. This one was labeled clearly, lorazepam, 2 milligrams, and diphenhydramine, 50 milligrams, both prescribed to Jennifer Torres. But the prescriptions were dated back to February, just before I'd started taking the vitamins. Lorazepam, a benzodiazepine used for anxiety but known to cause sedation, cognitive impairment, and memory issues. Diphenhydramine, an antihistamine that enhanced drowsiness and confusion, especially in older adults. She'd been crushing these up and putting them in capsules, feeding them to me every morning, watching me deteriorate, documenting my decline to use against me. I closed the cabinet, locked it, replaced the key, left everything exactly as I'd found it. Back upstairs, I sat on the edge of our bed, the same bed we'd shared for 35 years, the same bed where we'd conceived our children, where I'd held her when her mother died, where she'd comforted me through my anxiety attacks during the 2008 layoffs. My phone buzzed. Sarah, my daughter. "Hey, Dad, just checking in. How are you feeling? Mom said you've been forgetful lately. Maybe time to see the doctor?" So Jennifer had already started the groundwork, planting seeds with our children, making sure they'd believe her narrative when the time came. I texted back, "Feeling fine, sweetie. Just busy with work. Let's have dinner soon." I needed a plan. But first, I needed proof that would hold up in court. And I needed to protect Bob's legacy. He'd worked his entire life to build Chen Technologies. The IPO would fund research labs, scholarships, jobs for hundreds of people. I couldn't let Jennifer and Kyle steal that. The next morning, I took my vitamins as usual. Jennifer watched me swallow them with orange juice. She smiled, kissed my cheek. "Have a good day, honey. Don't forget, you have that dentist appointment at 3. I didn't have a dentist appointment. This was another test. She was documenting my memory failures. "Right. Thanks for reminding me," I said. Then I went to work. At my office in downtown Seattle, I had resources Jennifer didn't know about. Bob had introduced me to Marcus Webb, a former FBI agent who now ran a private investigation firm specializing in corporate fraud. I'd worked with Marcus 5 years ago when we'd suspected a competitor of industrial espionage. I called him from my office. "Marcus," Michael Torres, "I need your help, and I need it to be completely confidential." We met at a coffee shop in Fremont at noon. I showed him everything. The photos of the pills, the offshore account documents, the forged medical records, the recording I'd made that morning of Jennifer giving me the vitamins while saying, "Don't forget to take your medicine, honey." Marcus listened. His expression never changed. When I finished, he said, "How long has this been going on?" 6 months of drugging. But I think she's been planning this longer. Maybe since Bob got sick last year. She knew he was leaving me the equity. How did she know? Bob told me about his will 2 years ago. Over dinner, at our house. Jennifer was there. He said he wanted me to know so I could plan appropriately. He thought he was doing me a favor. Marcus nodded. "We need lab confirmation on those pills. We need documentation of her accessing that offshore account. And we need evidence of conspiracy with Kyle Morrison. This isn't just theft. It's attempted conservatorship fraud, forgery, and possibly attempted murder, depending on the long-term effects of the medication. What do I do? You keep taking the pills, but you don't swallow them. You pocket them. We need to document the pattern. I'll have someone follow Jennifer and Kyle. We'll record their communications. And when you're ready, we set a trap." For the next 3 weeks, I became an actor in my own life. Every morning, I took the pills from Jennifer, let them sit under my tongue, spat them out when she left, saved each one in labeled Ziploc bags with dates. I gradually started acting more alert. Not too much, just enough. I'd forget small things, leave my coffee cup in the garage, but I'd also start completing tasks more efficiently. Jennifer noticed. "You seem better," she said one evening. We were having dinner, salmon with roasted vegetables, a meal we'd made together 1,000 times. "I feel better," I said. "Maybe those vitamins are finally working." She smiled. But I saw the flicker of concern. If I was improving, her timeline was compressed. Marcus's team was thorough. They tracked Kyle's movements, recorded phone calls. Jennifer and Kyle met 3 times at a hotel in Bellevue. The investigators got photos, audio recordings of them discussing the transfer. Kyle had already booked tickets to the Caymans for early November, right after the IPO lockup period ended. Sarah called me one afternoon. "Dad, can we talk? Mom's worried about you. She thinks you should see a neurologist. She mentioned maybe setting up a medical power of attorney, just in case." "Just in case of what?" "In case something happens. She said you've been having more memory issues. Forgot to pick her up from the car dealership last week." I had picked her up, on time. This was another fabrication. "Sarah, I need you to trust me. Can you come over for dinner? Just you and David. Saturday. Don't tell your mother." Silence. Then, "Dad, you're scaring me. Please." "Okay. Saturday, 6 p.m. That Saturday, I told Jennifer I was playing golf with old colleagues. Instead, I met Sarah and David at David's apartment in Capitol Hill. They were both there when I arrived. Sarah, 32, a corporate lawyer. David, 29, a high school teacher. Both of them looking worried. "Dad, what's going on?" David asked. I handed them my laptop. "I need you to watch something. And I need you to keep an open mind." I showed them everything. The videos of Jennifer giving me the pills, the offshore account documents, the recordings of her conversations with Kyle, the lab results Marcus had obtained showing the pills contained prescription sedatives and antihistamines, the forged medical records. Sarah's face went white. David stood up, paced to the window, came back. "Mom is trying to rob you?" Sarah whispered. "And she's been drugging me to make it look like I have dementia so I can't fight it." David sat down hard. "The times she called us, saying you were forgetting things. You thought I was declining. That's what she wanted. She was building a case. If I contested the transfer or the divorce, she'd have you two testify that I was mentally incompetent." Sarah's hands were shaking. "What are we going to do?" "We're going to stop her. But I need you to act normal. Don't let her know you know. Can you do that?" They both nodded. The trap was set for October 23rd. Jennifer had scheduled an appointment with our family lawyer, Philip Marks. She'd told me we were updating our estate planning. Standard stuff. Nothing to worry about. But Marcus had run background on Marks. He wasn't our family lawyer. We'd used Robert Cheng for 20 years. Philip Marks was someone Jennifer had hired specifically for this purpose. He'd been involved in 3 other conservatorship cases, all of them questionable. The morning of the 23rd, I took my vitamins from Jennifer, held them under my tongue, went to the bathroom, spat them out, saved them. The appointment was at 2 p.m. at Marks's office in downtown Seattle. Jennifer drove. She was chattering nervously. "This is just routine, honey. Making sure everything's in order. With Bob's inheritance, we need to update the trust." Marks's office was sleek, glass and chrome. A receptionist who looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine. We were shown to a conference room. Philip Marks was 50, bald, with small eyes. He shook my hand. His palm was sweaty. "Mr. and Mrs. Torres, thank you for coming. This shouldn't take long." He laid out documents, a power of attorney, a trust amendment. He talked quickly, using legal jargon, making it sound routine. "This just gives Jennifer authority to manage assets if you're incapacitated. Standard protective measure for couples your age." I pretended to read, squinted at the pages. "This is a lot of text. I'm having trouble focusing." Jennifer's hand touched my arm. "It's okay, honey." Mr. Marks explained it. "This is just to protect us. I should read it more carefully. Michael, you've been forgetting things. This is for our security, both of us." I picked up the pen. My hand shook slightly. Not from drugs, from rage. "Where do I sign?" Marks pointed. "Here, and here, an initial here." I signed. Michael Torres. My signature was shaky. "Perfect." Marks smiled. "Excellent. This is now in effect. Mrs. Torres, you have full authority to manage all accounts and assets." Jennifer squeezed my hand. "Thank you, honey. This is the right thing." We left the office. Jennifer was practically vibrating with excitement. She checked her phone constantly in the car. When we got home, she said, "I need to run to the office for a few hours. Some year-end closing documents. Don't wait up." "Okay," I said. I shuffled to the couch, turned on the television, put my head back like I was exhausted. As soon as her car pulled away, I was on my phone. "Marcus, she's headed to the office. Is everything in place?" "All set. FBI's been notified. They're coordinating with Seattle PD. We've got agents at Meridian Financial and at Kyle Morrison's condo." I drove to Meridian myself, parked across the street where I could see the entrance. Marcus was in an unmarked van 2 cars behind me. At 7:43 p.m., Jennifer emerged with Kyle. They were both carrying laptops. They looked around nervously, then got into Kyle's BMW. "They're moving," Marcus said over the phone. "Following now." They drove to Kyle's condo in South Lake Union. I followed at a distance, pulled up just as they entered the building. Inside Kyle's apartment, I knew what was happening. Marcus's team had gotten a warrant based on the evidence we'd provided. They had audio surveillance. Jennifer and Kyle were logged into her computer, accessing the Cayman account. They were initiating the transfer. $28 million from the Chen Technologies equity, which was now technically under Jennifer's control via the power of attorney, to the offshore account. Marcus handed me a headset. I could hear them. "Are you sure the account's untraceable?" Kyle's voice. "Completely. By tomorrow morning, the money's liquidated and transferred. We're on a plane to Grand Cayman Monday. Michael will wake up broke and confused. By the time he figures it out, we're gone." "What about the kids?" "They already think he's losing it. Sarah actually called me last week. suggesting we get him evaluated. This is perfect. The transfer took 17 minutes. I watched the screen on Marcus's tablet. He was mirroring their computer activity. $28 million. Moved from a legitimate brokerage account to an offshore shell corporation. Transfer complete, Jennifer said. I could hear the triumph in her voice. Done, Kyle said. We're free. Marcus nodded to the agents waiting in the hallway. Now, the knock on the door was loud. Official. FBI. Open up. I could hear confusion over the audio. What? Who? FBI, we have a warrant. Open the door now. Fumbling. The door opening. Voices overlapping. Jennifer Torres. Kyle Morrison. You're under arrest for wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, elderly abuse, and forgery. You have the right to remain. I took off the headset. Marcus looked at me. You want to go up? Yes. We took the elevator. The door to Kyle's apartment was open. FBI agents in blue windbreakers. Seattle PD officers. Jennifer was in handcuffs, her face pale. She saw me. Michael? What? You can't be here. You're sick. You're confused. I walked toward her, calm, clear. I'm not sick, Jennifer. I haven't been sick. I've been poisoned. By you. For 6 months. Her face changed. Comprehension. Horror. No. You've been taking. The pills you gave me? No. I stopped taking them 3 weeks ago, but I saved every single one. Lab analysis shows lorazepam and diphenhydramine. Both prescribed to you, both crushed up and put in capsules, both causing the exact symptoms you were documenting to claim I had dementia. Kyle was handcuffed on the couch. He wasn't speaking. His lawyer instincts had kicked in. Jennifer's mouth opened, closed. The kids, Sarah and David. They'll tell you. You've been forgetting. Sarah and David know everything. They've seen the evidence, the videos, the offshore accounts, the recordings of you and Kyle planning this. An FBI agent stepped forward. Mrs. Torres, we've also recovered the forged medical records from Dr. Harrison Webb, who doesn't exist, by the way. And we've documented the transfer you just made. The Cayman account has been frozen by international request. The money's already been returned to the original account. Jennifer's legs gave out. An officer caught her. She looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Not remorse, not shame, anger. You played me, she said. No, I replied. You played yourself. You got greedy. You betrayed 35 years. You tried to destroy me. You involved our children. You partnered with him. I gestured at Kyle. And you forgot the most important thing. What? I'm not as stupid as you needed me to be. They took her away. Kyle, too. The FBI spent 2 hours collecting evidence from the apartment. Laptops, documents, more burner phones. Marcus drove me home. We sat in his car outside my house. The DA wants to meet with you tomorrow. This is going to be a significant case. Wire fraud across international lines. Elderly abuse. Conspiracy. They're looking at 8 to 12 years for Jennifer, 6 to 10 for Morrison. And the money? Safe. The IPO's still on schedule. November 15th. Your shares are protected. We've established an irrevocable trust that Jennifer can't touch. Even if she somehow got out, she has no legal claim. I nodded. Thank you, Marcus. You held it together. That's not easy. Pretending for 3 weeks while the person you love is trying to destroy you. She stopped being the person I loved somewhere along the way. I just didn't see it. The trial was set for March. Jennifer's lawyer tried to get bail. Denied. Flight risk. She sat in King County Jail for 4 months, awaiting trial. Sarah and David were devastated. We had family therapy. Dr. Yoshida helped us process the betrayal, the manipulation, the lies. Sarah felt guilty for doubting me. David was angry he hadn't seen the signs. You couldn't have known, I told them one evening. We were at David's apartment, pizza and beer, trying to rebuild normal. She was careful. She'd been planning this for months, maybe years. She knew exactly what to say to make you believe her. But we should have trusted you, Sarah said. You did trust me. When I asked you to come that Saturday, you came. You listened. That's trust. The IPO happened on November 15th. Chen Technologies went public at $32 per share. By the end of the first day of trading, my shares were worth $41 million. I set up a foundation the following week, the Robert Chen Foundation for Technology Education. $5 million to start. Scholarships for underprivileged students in STEM fields. The same opportunity Bob had given me 40 years ago when he'd hired a nervous Stanford grad who didn't know anything about the real world. I also established the Torres Family Trust for domestic abuse survivors, specifically for people over 50 who'd been victimized by intimate partners, financial assistance, legal support, counseling, because I'd learned something during those 3 weeks of pretending. Abuse doesn't have an age limit, and sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you most. The trial lasted 6 weeks. Jennifer's defense tried to claim she'd been coerced by Kyle, that she was a victim too. The jury didn't buy it. The recordings were clear. The planning was meticulous. The intent was obvious. She was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison. Kyle got 9 years. Both were ordered to pay restitution, though they had no assets. Jennifer's career was finished. Kyle's business partnership was dissolved. His wife filed for divorce. I sold the house in Bellevue. Too many memories. Bought a smaller place on Bainbridge Island. 2 bedrooms. A view of the water. A garden where I grow tomatoes and herbs. Sarah visits every Sunday. She's engaged now to a good man named Evan. They're talking about kids. The idea of being a grandfather makes me smile. David comes by on Wednesdays. We cook dinner together. He's teaching me to make risotto. I'm teaching him about investments. The foundation is growing. I learned some things through all this, about trust, about vigilance, about the capacity for people to change in ways you never expect. I learned that if you feel unusually tired or confused, get independent medical testing. Don't just accept someone's explanation, even if that someone is your spouse. I learned that you should always have separate accounts, separate assets, some financial independence, even in a marriage. I learned to document everything: photos, recordings, witnesses. Truth needs evidence. But most importantly, I learned that survival isn't just about getting through the crisis. It's about what you build afterward. Bob left me his life's work because he trusted me to do something good with it. Jennifer tried to take that trust and burn it for her own greed, but she failed. The foundation helped 93 people in its first year. Scholarships, legal aid, emergency housing. We've expanded to 3 states. By next year, we'll be national. I'm 64 now. The brain fog is gone. The exhaustion is gone. I sleep well. I wake up with purpose. I have my children back. I have my integrity. I have a mission. Sometimes people ask me if I ever loved her. Jennifer, my wife of 35 years. I did. I loved who I thought she was. But that person either never existed or she died somewhere along the way, replaced by someone I didn't know. Someone capable of poisoning me, stealing from me, destroying my reputation, manipulating our children. You can survive betrayal. You can expose the truth. You can protect yourself and others. You can rebuild. And maybe that's the real inheritance Bob left me. Not the money, not the company shares, but the reminder that your life's work matters most when you use it to lift others up, not tear them down. I stand on my deck on Bainbridge Island, coffee in hand, watching the sun rise over the Sound. The water is calm today, silver and gold. A ferry crosses in the distance, carrying commuters to Seattle. My phone buzzes. Sarah, a photo of her ultrasound. Surprise, Grandpa. Due in June. I'm smiling, actually smiling. A genuine expression of joy. Because this is what winning looks like. Not revenge. Not justice, though that matters too. But this, a new generation, a clean start, the chance to teach them what really matters. Trust, but verify. Love, but protect yourself. Give generously, but never let anyone make you small. And if someone tries to destroy you, document everything, get help, and remember, you're stronger than you think. You're smarter than they need you to be. And you deserve a life built on truth, not lies. 35 years, $41 million, 11 years in prison for her, and a whole new life for me. I choose the new life every single time